Hi, I'm Brad Sugars, and welcome to this week's edition of World's Best Business Owner. As you know, every week we travel the world looking for a great business owner who's achieving amazing things. And this week we've stumbled down into Australia, and we're going to go and see the team at Snap Talent. James Harmon is the CEO of the company. He owns the place, he runs the place, and we're going to find out his secret to his success at this point in time. So, James, thanks so much for giving us your time today.
Thanks.
You know, having a business owner that's doing incredible things is one thing, but you're doing it in an industry that is, really changing, I guess, or you're changing a bit of how it works. Tell us a little bit about what Snap Talent does, and then we'll go from there and see what lessons you're applying.
So Snap Talent started in January 2014, and it started basically on the principle that we believe in a better world. And that's one where connections are real. And when you're looking for new employees and looking for staff for your business, they're real connections where you can actually let your staff and your teams and businesses thrive. So that helps a business grow, and it helps them take them to that next level.
Which is fantastic. So you're not just looking for people that will fill a spot. You're actually looking at real relationships in business.
Yeah, and it all starts with a manager or a owner of a business being completely clear on who they're looking for, so that we can actually help them find that superstar for their next position, not just Mr. Average.
Yeah. Now, when you sit down and look at it, you're brand new into business, but you decided to get a coach. Now, that's an interesting decision. How did you make that decision when you first started?
So I knew I wanted to have a business, but I was essentially just contracting. So just contracting for people where I had a job. I was creating this wonderful job for myself, where it was great. I was earning some money, but it wasn't where I wanted to be. It wasn't systemized. It wasn't going to be able to grow. And I had goals, but they weren't written down. They weren't quantifiable, and I didn't really know how to measure them.
It's an interesting one. When we first start in business, I wish everyone had the foresight that you had of doing it right from day one. That would be a really great thing if everyone did it that way. So let's take a look at systemizing first and foremost. What are some of the keys you've found because your growth, actually, let's just focus on your growth just for a minute. Sales growth has been quite dramatic. Conversion rate has been quite dramatic. Give people an idea of the results you're getting, so when they get the lessons, they understand how powerful it is.
So, I talk about the conversion rate to start with. When you talk about conversion rate, people often forget to measure it from the beginning. So you measure the conversion rate from every step of the process. When you're making a call, to having a meeting, to presenting a proposal, to then actually converting it to do the job.
Yeah.
Now, in recruitment, the sales process is not finished until the placement's made and the invoice is sent. It's all good being able to get a new contract signed.
Yeah.
But most people think that cold calling is not a feasible and viable way. And I went from having a conversion rate of about 10% on a first phone call to about 90% where I would get it through to the next stage in my pipeline. Now, That's such a dramatic increase that I was able to not just go out there and try and phone everybody who I could get a telephone number for, but actually target it to the people that I wanted to do work with. Yeah. Because it was no longer slam the phone down and go away. It's sure, how can I help? It suddenly turned into a completely different conversation.
Yeah. Now, you guys changed up your sales scripts, your sales processes, all of that stuff. And it's almost, one of the things that you've done really well is almost systemize your sales process, where it's you follow this process and here's the result you get. Give me a bit more of an insight into how you've done that and the real reasoning behind that.
So wherever I've worked in the past, we've always had systems in place for making a sale, but it's never been really clear cut. It was always, here's a database, phone these people, and then you'll make the sale. It was never, this is the conversation you want to have with people. This is how you go and find the person that you want to talk to. It was just about purely playing a numbers game.
Yeah.
So the system that Snap Talent's got is more about having a targeted approach, actually about the way to construct a conversation, and then what you need to do to move that forward. So rather than just looking at it as, oh, I need to make this call to get to register my KPIs, it's not about managing a KPI system. It's about making sure that it's accountable and it's able to move through to the next process.
Yeah.
So,
and that's really been amazing for you in your sales and getting the numbers that you're getting now. I mean, when someone sits there and you say, okay, we've reversed the conversion rate. Instead of it being 90% miss, it's now a 90% hit rate for prospecting. It makes such a dramatic difference to your bottom line of your business and even to your total sales.
Yeah, it's the bottom line is, the bottom line is one of the key things that you need to look at when you're running a business. You need to make sure that you've got the correct business development going in to make sure you've got the cash flow to be able to grow. Yeah. So to just have the confidence to be able to watch it growing and know that everything's systemized to be able to help with that growth, to be able to then bring on more people, move into a bigger office space. It's all linked.
Yeah. Now, ultimately, your coach, Brett, has done a phenomenal job with you on the testing and measuring side, because a lot of business owners are good at, knowing their profit and loss or their sales numbers, but very few measure the good key performance indicators. Did you have to make a mindset shift to really start measuring that, or was it pretty easy for you?
No, I had to make quite a big mindset shift, because it's always been ingrained in me that, you need to look at what's not working to fix it. But Brett really focused on testing and measuring to look at what does work and then treat everything as a little experiment and see what works. Don't try and fix anything that's broken, but focus on what's working. And then it's you repeat that, because if it's working, you want to be doing more of it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's look for the stuff that's making you money and do plenty of the stuff that's making you money. When it comes to measuring, how about getting the team to do it? Because a lot of business owners say, oh, I can do it, but getting my people to do it. Is there something that you've done that's really got your team doing it, or have they just followed you because of your passion for it?
It's all about following suit. You lead by example. You can lead by example, and then everybody's gonna fall in line. And there are going to be some people that aren't going to work out. It's the way of the world, and they'll drop off. But it's very, very quick to help find those people that do work and do want to fall in line. Yeah. And the people that aren't going to work, you don't focus on trying to fix it, because it's not necessarily working with them. So you focus on the people that are working and repeat that.
Yeah. Now, one of the other things, James, that you guys have done a lot of is not just systemization on the sales side of it, but you've also got a lot better systems in the business end of it, so the running of the business. What are some of the key secrets to getting good systems that your people actually use and follow?
So the systems, the biggest one is for the actual process of doing the job. Changing the mindset from a sale being made when you get a contract signed to when the placement's actually made. So it becomes a full sales cycle, sales cycle within the process of recruitment. and it's that having a systemization through the whole process has allowed everybody to have the realization that it can be managed, and it's not just winging it. But it's also automating marketing, having a website with a blog on it where you can sign up to automated video training on how to do recruitment. And then it all ends with saying, well, if you want to be doing that yourself, great, here's all the information, but here's how we can help, and here's how we can take it to the next level. Yeah. So having all of that being automated, so, not having to have somebody sat there sending out 10 emails every time somebody signs up on the website, it's such a big workload off somebody.
Well, it's an interesting one, because you now get it that, systematizing your marketing and automating your marketing, and then, measuring it and doing all that stuff. It's a phenomenal thing when you do it right, but it takes you got to admit, it takes a lot of work to get it set up.
It does. It took many, many months and many painful hours making sure that everything was as I wanted it to be. But the biggest thing that Brett helped me work on is it doesn't need to be perfect. Yeah. It's better to have something out there that is going to do something than spending 6 months, 12 months making it perfect
and
to,
not
to
using.
then
Yeah.
not using it, and it's not doing anything except for causing you a headache.
Test stuff, measure it, see what's working, keep what does, get rid of what doesn't. A very simple philosophy. Now, one of the other philosophies that you've really adopted that Brett harps on this one is about working on your business, not in the business, actually building the business, not just getting new business type thing. How has that mindset shift been for you? Is it pretty easy? Was it something that you found tough? What was your shift?
For me personally, it was a bit of a mindset shift. It was a little bit tough to start with. And in the beginning, I realized that I had to do 3 jobs. I had to be a business owner, a manager, and an employee all rolled into one. As a startup, you need to do so many different things and wear so many different hats. So, Brett just managed to flick that switch for me and say, this is the mindset you need to have to do this job. You can't be doing your business owner work and looking at your accounting and looking at your marketing in key business hours where that's where you can be making your money and doing the work that you need to be doing.
Yeah.
So, that comes down to time management as well.
Yeah.
So making sure that I'm doing the right things when I need to be doing them, and really switching it up into those 3 different internal positions, as it were.
I remember when I first started in my business, I actually bought 3 different desks and would actually sit at the right desk for that, because ultimately I knew I was going to have staff at those desks. So it was an interesting one. Now, speaking of Brett, Brett's one of the best coaches. He does a phenomenal job with his clients. You've raved about him a lot. What do you think it is about him that makes him such a great coach? Is there something about him? Because you work with him every week. What do you think it is?
I think it's the fact that he holds you accountable. He's not scared to have that tough conversation with you when things are not quite working out, or when you've taken your finger off the pulse. And that comes down to him talking about becoming an investor. And that's not just in terms of dollars and money, but that's in terms of time and people. And, it's the mindset of being an investor. You have to invest in your own future, and he can just really hold people accountable to that. And he's definitely held me accountable. Yeah.
Look, one of the challenges of being a business owner is, as long as you're paying the bills, no one's pushing you to grow it. But that's part of being a coach. Now, one of the other things that you've done really well is you get involved in a lot of the community stuff, going and meeting other business owners and the training programs and the learning and the business planning sessions. Tell me a bit about why you get involved in those sorts of things.
It's about being able to give back. So you give back, and it's kind of the philosophy of giver's gain. You're going to be helping other people out, and in turn they're going to want to help you back.
But
and that's based on a really basic thing. When you go to a networking event, if you can help somebody else at a networking event, and you see it all the time. I see it all the time when somebody's there, they're talking to the same person for the whole evening, and they don't know what to do, don't know who to go and talk to. They've forgotten the purpose of them being there. And the simple thing you can do is you can connect people together. And, that's what Snap Talent does. It connects businesses and staff.
Yeah.
So it makes sense for when we're at networking events to connect people together.
Yeah, definitely. It's almost like, I always thought when you go to a networking event, act like you're the host of the situation and just, keep introducing people, and everyone gets along real well. Part of your business growth has come down to the planning side of it. Your planning's obviously far better these days. You go every 90 days with Brett and do your business plan. Explain to someone that's never done that how that changes the way you do business when every 90 days you get together and develop your next plan for the quarter.
So having a quarterly plan is refocusing. So you can write a business plan when you first start your business, and I bet that 90% of people never look at it ever again, except when they want to go to the bank.
Yeah.
And that's great. You've got a document that tells you what your original goals were. But being able to refocus that every quarter and every 90 days, it just means that you are keeping on track and you're being held accountable to where you want to go. But it also means that it's not just about Brett, holding my hand and saying, this is where you've got to go. It's actually me saying, this is what I want to be doing and this is where I want to be going.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost, the Brett as a coach holding me accountable and pushing me in a direction that I know that I need to be going in, rather than him telling me what to do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the difference between coaching and telling people, I guess. One last question. There's obviously some people going to be listening to this that are contemplating working with a coach. You've been doing it for a year. How would you describe, or what advice would you have for them on picking a coach, I guess, is the simple thing.
There are some coaches that specialize in specific industries. I don't think that you necessarily need to go down that path. Mm-hmm. One of the biggest things is you need to make sure that you get on with them.
Yeah.
And you need to make sure that you're comfortable with them telling you when you're not doing what you should be doing and holding you accountable. And that comes down to commitment.
Yeah.
And you've got to be fully committed, and you need to be working with somebody who you're comfortable having those difficult conversations with.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a really important piece of advice. James, we're really proud of the results you're getting. For a startup business, you're doing amazing things. You're starting to really fly. I look forward to checking back in with you in a couple of years and seeing how much bigger you've grown over these next few years. Congrats and well done, and thanks again for your time today.
No problem. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.